Hi, my name is Jennifer Bonnier, and I'm the Nashville city producer for the 48 Hour Film Project. For those of you who aren't familiar with the 48, it is a traveling international film competition in which you have 48 hours to create a short film, concept to completion. It sounds crazy, but I assure you it is possible. And what you're about to see are 4 films that were made as a part of this competition. I hope you'll stick around afterwards for an interview with the filmmakers. Here's the films.
Hello?
Julie, LP Brownstone here. Did you get the divorce papers?
Yeah, that was really quick.
Get them signed.
Okay,
Hey, I'm serious. My time is very valuable. Get them signed.
Okay, I've got to go. I have another call.
Thank you for calling 1-900-GET-LOVE. For identity protection, voice masking is available by pressing 1, followed by the pound key. If you know your party's extension, please dial now.
Hey, Samantha.
John? Why are you calling on a Wednesday?
Just felt like talking.
Is everything all right?
Yeah. Fine. And you?
Actually, I was just thinking about our last conversation.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You remember you were talking about my titties and how you wanted to nuzzle your head in them and put them in your mouth.
Motorboating.
Oh, motorboating, is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, that was fun.
We don't have to talk about that if you don't want to.
Would it be okay if I talk about my wife again?
Of course. Go ahead.
I feel like I have a roommate, not a wife. We never have sex. We don't talk. I'm alone.
So where is she right now?
At her second job. So she says.
What does that mean?
I checked it out. She's lying. I don't know where she goes. I'm thinking of leaving.
Where would you go?
I don't know. Where would you go?
That's easy. I would go to see the Great Wall.
Really? Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, it took more than 200 years to build. You can see it from space. And did you know that over 1 million people died in the process? I find that sort of human achievement interesting.
That is so cool. My wife would never say anything like that.
Where would you go?
I think I would go to the Great Wall too. Maybe we could go there together one day.
Your wife. You never told me how you met her.
We were drunk. We were at this karaoke bar, and she was so cool, very aggressive, and she took me home. And right when we were about to go at it, I got sick. I leaned over the edge of the bed to puke. And there was her dog Daisy, right in the line of fire. It was such a mess.
That's very interesting.
And she didn't get mad. She just put me and Daisy into the shower, and she went off to bed.
It's too bad you drifted apart.
Yeah, I guess people just do that. Samantha, what's your real name?
John, you know that's against the rules.
It's not fair. I mean, you know me better than anyone, and I don't even know your name.
Don't go there.
Look, I know how stupid this sounds, but I think I love you. Really? Nothing?
What was I supposed to say?
I know I can't be with you. But if I can fall in love with you, maybe I can fall in love with someone else.
Are you sure that's what she wants?
Why else would she lie to me?
Sometimes people just grow too far apart and you can't go back.
Yeah. It's too late.
Will you send me a postcard from the Great Wall?
Maybe. But I'll need an address.
At least you still have your sense of humor.
Thanks, Samantha. I've really enjoyed these last few months.
I get the feeling this won't be the last time we talk.
Goodbye, Samantha.
Goodbye, Quinn.
They call him Flipper Morgan. And if he had one thing, he had heart. He did everything with a purpose.
Flipper. He moves like a dolphin that has just made sweet love to a hotter dolphin.
Flipper moves around kind of like a piece of hair stuck in your drain. Like it's moving, but not really doing anything.
Synchronized swimming is just a hybrid form of swimming, dancing, and motherfucking gymnastics. I've been training Flipper for almost 5 years now, and he's almost the perfect catch.
How bad do you want this? How bad do you want it?
Bad!
My training methods have been called unconventional. He doesn't have many weaknesses. He's strong.
Flipper, you ever think you'll be able to make it? An industry full of women?
I can't hear you.
I said, do you ever think you'll be able to make it in an industry full of women?
Eat shit.
But Flipper's mom couldn't see the pearl inside the closed clamshell of life.
I'm not sure they really let boys do that kind of thing. He looks so silly out there flipping around like some silly stoner. I guess if you name your kid Flipper, one way or the other, he's gonna want to be a synchronized swimmer.
Besides his mom, he was doing well. I thought he was ready to swim against the tide. It's time for the triple fluke fishtail.
Holy mackerel! I'm not ready!
It's sink or swim. You're ready. He wasn't ready.
I can't.
It's time he started preparing with a partner of equal or lesser skill.
My synchronized swimming side of life is going underwater. I mean undercover. But these past few months with Flipper have gone swimmingly. Kind of like when you're snaking a drain and you feel unstoppable.
Faster! Go faster! Faster, mother! Faster!
My pipes are clogged, and this isn't even a real sport! Thanks for the fish!
His mom fucked up everything. His head was swimming. He became obsessed with cutting out pictures of Michael Phelps, putting his head on top and eating them. So I secretly arranged a final practice. Tomorrow's the day, and I made you a special performance crown. And a keychain too.
Practical. I'm ready.
The triple flute fishtail. 1, 2, 3. You know that special moment when something so perfect yet so wrong blends together into something you just can't look away from. This was that moment. He did it. I knew he could do it. He's gonna make the team. He's gonna make the team. What the?
Dude died. Super messed up. Dudes always be dying these documentaries.
I tried to tell him synchronized swimming would ultimately lead to his death.
He did the move. He lived in a world full of wonder, flying there under the sea.
What do we have here? A football. Little girls can't play football. Now why don't you go home and play with your dolls? I got business to attend to.
Can I help you, sir?
Well, yes, ma'am, I believe you can. Huh! This here's a stick-up. Give me all the ketchup you got and nobody gets hurt.
Hold it right there, Pepper Drip.
Sheriff Potato.
That's Potato.
I thought I might see you here.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. Luckily, I'm always prepared.
Oh!
Sheriff Tate, Sheriff Tate.
I ain't sheriff anymore.
The bank's been robbed. Sheriff Potato.
I think it's Potato.
They done turned him into hash browns.
Well, that's real sad. Unfortunately, I took a vow years ago to never sheriff again.
And there's nothing on God's green earth that could change my mind. So you might as well run on home. Go on, get out of here. Get.
I guess someone else will have to capture the collector.
What did you say?
The collector. He's back.
Get my badge.
I'm coming with you, Sheriff Tate.
You ain't either. It's too dangerous, little nugget. You stay here.
How you even gonna find him? I could help.
I don't need your help. I have my ways. Freeze, Pepper Drip. Your days of shaking down are over.
Well, well, well. If it ain't the sheriff that ran away.
I didn't run away. I retired on my own terms. It was completely normal.
That's not the way I heard it. I heard you got yourself into a game of hot potato, and you couldn't handle the heat.
You calling me yellow?
No, Sheriff. I'm calling you dead. Now it's time for you to join Sheriff Potato.
Potato?
Let's just call the whole thing off. Oh, you shot me. You shot me right in the shaker. Oh, shot me in the shaker. Oh.
It was dang foolish of you to follow me. I'll say that. I'll also say that if you hadn't, I'd be dead as a frozen bag of old riders right now. I guess in a way I owe you one, kid. For starters, I took the liberty of airing this back up for you. Here you go. You're a good kid, little nugget. And don't let this world beat the joy out of you like it almost did me. Stay positive. If you put your mind to something, you can do it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to report for duty. See you around, kid. I didn't know girls could play football.
Girls can do anything.
I don't think she's gonna show.
Let's try not to make this awkward.
Hey.
What am I doing here?
Are you busy? What are you doing? Okay, you're not busy. I need you to come on my date with me. The date.
The date?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, I need you to come. So I'm gonna grab my stuff.
No.
We're gonna go.
No.
Yeah, we're going.
Why do you say the date?
Because it's the date I told you about.
This is what
The
you're wearing?
guy. Yeah, this is
Okay,
what I'm
why
wearing.
am I going?
He has an imaginary friend.
Get your purse. So, is it here?
Is what here?
Me.
Your, friend?
Oh, yeah, she's here.
Hey.
Her name's Yeti.
Hey.
Silly.
What's up? I had an imaginary friend growing up when I was younger. His name was Prince Happy Bear. He was a bear.
Is this ever awkward?
mean, not really.
Yeah, sometimes.
Like never.
Every once in a while.
Hardly ever. Like one time. Like 2 times.
I go by LP Brownstone on TV. I host a cooking segment on the Channel 8 News. You haven't seen it.
I've seen it. She's a terrible person.
Yeti thinks you're a terrible person.
Everybody absolutely loves me.
My imaginary friend thinks you look like a streetwalker.
What?
Streetwalker. What was I supposed to say?
Oh, we're hilarious. I like her and him. I mean, mostly him. Definitely him.
I like her too.
I like his smile and I like his eyes.
Oh, she's got great eyes
And
too.
he smells so good. It's like a vintage cowboy. No, maybe.
I think I'm gonna go out with her again.
Oh, yes. And she better bring him or it's a deal breaker. So have you eaten here before?
No, this is my first time.
I like it. You guys doing all right?
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, it's fine, but where's Monroe?
Yeah, it is nice. To be alone with you? You're alone, right?
Yeah, of course.
Can you ask her about Monroe? Where he is?
So have you heard from Monroe?
Yeah, he's not gonna be able to make it.
What? Are you kidding? This is bullshit.
Do you like karaoke?
Karaoke? Yeah.
I just wish he was here so that I could look at him and then have him try to look at me.
I've never been to karaoke.
I can take you.
Really?
Do you think we could have kids?
Yeah.
Is that possible? It's too soon. It's too soon. I know it's too soon. Is it too soon?
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
No, sorry, not you.
She has a soaking tub, so I took a bubble bath.
Ruining this for me.
Okay. I don't think this is gonna work.
No, it's not you, I promise.
Please just go.
No.
I'm really sorry, Finny.
Hi, Roxanne. It's Phineas. Listen, I'm really sorry for the other night. It's not the way I really wanted the night to go. I really like you. Like you. And, yeah, I'd like to see you again. Okay, bye.
Wait, you should have mentioned Monroe.
I'm very upset with you, Yeti.
Well, if she had brought Monroe, none of this would have happened.
This isn't about you and Monroe. This is about me and Roxanne.
Why don't we just go see her and, or whatever? I mean, we could go now, like right now. Let's go.
Just listen to your voicemail.
Yeah?
Yeah. Can I get you a drink?
No. Fine, thank you. Okay.
So, is your pretty little friend here? She is pretty, right?
Yes, I am. Tell him.
Yes. I need to tinkle.
Stop.
What the hell? What grown man has to tinkle?
Stop. You're being horrible.
No, I'm not being horrible. I'm being real. Because I'm a real person. Sis, you really know how to pick 'em. She's not here. She's not real. Right?
I like him.
Where is she? Have you seen her? She is? What's her name?
Stop.
Yeti. 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 Here, take my hand. Okay, soft skin. She is hot. Come on. Let's get out of here. Are we serious?
Where'd Yeti go? I'm not gonna see Roxanne anymore. I don't know what was said, but...
No, it's okay. I really like her, actually. Him, not so much, but she's really nice. I think you should keep seeing her.
I don't know what to say. I don't like it when you're gone.
Ben, I'm tired of not being seen. I'm the only one left. Everyone grew up and lost their, now I'm all alone.
You actually are really good at karaoke. That was pretty fun.
Who
It was
knew?
pretty hilarious, but...
Thank you. God bless the USA. He knew all the dance moves to all my single ladies.
He knew the moves.
How old do you think he was?
He smells so good, like an old-timey cowboy, like a vintage motorcycle.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm very bored on this day.
Sure.
There's nothing for me to do.
I'm gonna play an imaginary flute until you look at me.
The day and
I'm gonna make a
brother
mustache
told
out
me
of
to
my
try
hair.
All right. Well, can we start off with a round of applause for those films? Because that was really incredible. Thank you so much. And for our amazing panelists, thank you guys for being here. The way I'd like to start this is with you guys introducing yourselves. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then remind us which film you were a part of and what your role in that film was. So we'll just go down the line if that's okay.
My name is David Perry, and I'm an executive producer in Nashville with a company called Five Stone Studios, which is a commercial production company, animation company, original production company. And I was the producer of the last film that was shown, Everyday Yeti, and which we made 4 years ago, which is still hard to believe. And it was a collaboration with another filmmaker in town, Matki Dapp, who I've worked with on many projects for several years, and yeah.
Cool. Hey, I'm Allison Summers, and I'm an improviser and a stand-up comedian here in Nashville. And I worked on Tottstone with Sam. Sam's an animator, and we write a comedic cartoon shorts called Afternoon Stew. So.
Yeah, and Allison covered it, but I'm Sam Osborne. That's all I was going to say is that I make animations. We worked on Tottstone together, and yeah, we write little sketches and put them out under Afternoon Stew. So.
I'm Rebecca Lines. I'm an actor. I was in Win to End, which was also made 4 years ago, and I play the phone operator, also known as Samantha/Julie, and yeah.
I'm Bill Mitchell. I'm a composer and sound mixer, and I did the music for Sink or Swim.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let's dive right into the creative process. We have such an amazing array of skills up here on the panel. I'd love for you to talk about what your role in the creative process was for the film that you were a part of. Were you involved from the beginning all the way through to the end? Did you contribute just a little bit on this project? Just tell us what it was like for this particular film.
Yeah, it was a really fun process because Matki is a 48 legend. and I'm sure his name's going to come up a lot in anything I share tonight, but he and I were collaborating on a few different projects during that time, and in particular a feature film that we had just done a first stage of production in Europe, and we were trying to get funding for it, and so we said, well, let's come together and make a 48 while we're trying to get this feature off the ground. And so the other producer, Ryan Hartsock, he was the other producer of the feature film, and he and Matke had collaborated on projects in the past, on several 48 projects. So they actually brought me in and said, hey, we're going to do another 48. It's something that we do every year. Do you want to come on board since we're already doing a feature film together, and let's make a 48 together? And I was really excited because, ironically, I'd never met Ryan in person. So the first time I met Ryan was the day before we did the 48, which in and of itself is sort of a weird story. But I was very involved because Matke and I, Ryan's based out of Cincinnati, so he wasn't as involved in the pre-production of sort of getting all the pieces in place and crew and talent. But Matke and I, in our first conversation, we said, hey, let's do this. Let's really try to make a film that can win. It was actually one of our goals, is like, we want to win. If you know me, I'm highly competitive, so it was like, well, of course we're going to win.
I think everyone wants to win. Yeah. I think that's the goal.
But I was very involved in finding the pieces that we could use at our disposal going into the process. And so trying to find great locations, trying to find great actors, trying to find great collaborators that we could use, both from a crew standpoint, but then just resources. And then we were all, the three of us really collaborated in the story development once we got our different elements, and then was there to the end. So it was a very collaborative effort that I was able to be involved in it each step of the way.
That's awesome. Allison and Sam?
Okay. Touchstone,
Yeah.
Well, I kind of wanted, I think I would start with the drawing process from the meetup. Do you remember, we drew Western and one other one. Do you remember?
I think it was spy espionage was the combo that
that
year.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to guess, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So you get to draw two genres from the 48, or when you do the kickoff event, and one of the ones that we drew was Western and then maybe spy espionage. And I was like so excited to draw a Western because there's just like so much you can do with a Western, that opens it up. So anyways, we got Western, and Allison and I both immediately, we're a two-person team, so we collaborate on everything, like everything that gets done is us.
But real quick, can I just reiterate that? You guys, 2 people made that movie that you watched. Literally, these 2 people, awesome. The entire thing.
And I will say, though, Sam does most of the work because he's the animator.
Well.
So in terms of how long it took me, it was we wrote this story on Friday night. Mm-hmm. And when we collaborate, we sort of have things that we die on our swords for, but most of the time we're just yep, and we just kind of keep rolling.
Move on.
And so the writing the story was really quick.
Yeah, so we wrote it together, and I think on the drive home, and we agreed we'd do Western. I think on the drive home I was like, somebody robs a bank and they have to go get him, and Allison's like, yep, let's go with it, Yeah. And Allison, she's not giving herself enough credit. She really, the story and the writing would not have been nearly as good without Allison involved, but yeah, we just wrote it straight through, and then I think we recorded all the voices for that Friday night, mm-hmm. and then
I went home.
Allison went home, and Allison was actually sick as well. You remember that? Yeah, he had a cold. But anyways, I wrote all of it Friday night, recorded all the voices Friday night, and then I spent all day Saturday and a lot of the day Sunday animating it. And
I would call and check in on Sam.
She called
and
checked
Sam,
in. Yeah.
Do you need anything? Let me get you pizza.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Right. And the title, I remember coming up with the title was the last thing that we did, because I called Allison and she's like, hello. She was sick. And I was like, we went back and forth forever. But Touchstone is actually a play on Tombstone, which is a very popular Western movie. I don't know if anybody caught that. But. So anyways,
Great
well
title.
Done. But yeah, that's it. I've talked enough.
That was awesome. Rebecca, tell us about your experience.
So When to End was written by 5 fabulous writers, and so I was just the measly actor in it. There's so many other parts to a film, other than what you see on that screen. So 5 wonderful writers that I think the script was written by, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the morning, I'm sure, maybe a little earlier than that. And then it's sent off to us, the actors. So my husband/client, Robin Doherty, I think we sat down with our director, Travis Slagle, at about 8 in the morning. And he gave us a script and we talked about it. And there was just a little bit of things that we needed to tweak. So we added a few lines, one of which is a funny favorite, the motorboat lines. So that came from us. And, so that's the part I played, and it's really fun to be a part of all of that energy that's happening. So as the actor, you do your thing, and usually, and all the other 48s I've been a part of, usually done by Saturday night at some point. And then it goes into the editor's hand and so forth and so on. So that's the part that I played in Win to End, was a little bit of tweaking on the script and then playing Samantha and Julie.
And how was it to have to just like put your hands up and go, okay, my part's done, and you can't do anything else, it's out of your hands? What's that experience like as an actress?
Well, by the time I did Win to End, that was my 4th 48 film festival project, or experience. So I had gotten used to it, but still it's hard to leave. I want to help, but there's really nothing I can do. I'm not an editor, I don't do score, any of that. So I would just be in everybody's way. I mean, I could order pizzas, I could send food, I could, a massage therapist, when they're down there working, but it's hard to let go because I just want to be a part of it till the very end. But I always knew that each one that I was in good hands.
It's got to be a good feeling. Bill, tell us about your experience with Sink or Swim.
It was for director Spencer Fritz. I had done the score for a feature of his, Cecil, and which I think got released this year, but pretty sure I did the score a little while back. But he was doing it in Indiana and I was doing something else. So I gave him 6 or 7 songs that I had done over the course of probably 12 years. And which gave him just a bunch of options, and he just got to choose from different ones and use them for different scenes, and it all seemed to work out just fine. But normally that's not my process. I would want to do it and send off cues to the director and get their approval, and then finalize them and send them in and that kind of thing. But with that particular instance, he just ended up using music that already existed, and it seemed to work out just fine.
Yeah, and I so appreciate you allowing me to show that film. Bill has competed many years and has many wonderful films that he's composed for, but I thought that film was a really great example of how you can utilize music that has been pre-written that you have the full rights to.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, I have to have a composer, it's do or die, but you don't have to. So if you have friends who are in bands or who have composed songs that they have the full rights to, you can still use it. I mean, Spencer is a Nashville director, and he went to Indiana to compete. A lot of people, David, I believe you've competed outside of Nashville, right? Haven't you?
I haven't.
You
No.
haven't?
Monkey has, but I
Okay,
haven't.
I'm sorry. Get grouped. You are one,
I
right?
took
In
that
my
as a
brain, you're just like, you guys are the same. But how the 48 just, your skill sets can go across the state borders. You can go and compete in other things. And I just think it's a really cool example of how you were here in Nashville, but still got to help somebody compete in a 48. So when you are competing in the 48 this year, think about your resources. Really reach out, because you never know who is in your back pocket that you can just be like, hey, send me something. I need this right now. So next thing I'd like to talk about, because you guys have all competed several years in the 48, is tell us how many years you've competed, and then maybe share with us a success or failure, maybe something really good that happened, maybe really bad. I don't know. You got some good stories, I'm sure. We all have good stories from the 48.
Yeah, I've been able to do it twice. And I've always had a great experience. I think that the 48 is just an amazing sprint. And it was, both times I've done it, I've had just incredible experience of camaraderie. It's such a beautiful picture of teamwork and just get in there and having fun. And I think a lot of that has to do with the culture that you build in your team and the people that you bring in. I mean, for us, it was very important to have fun. You know, that, yeah, obviously we wanted to make a movie and we wanted it to be great and we wanted to win. But it always came down to like, we want it to be a fun experience. And if we're not having fun doing it, then we're missing the point to a certain degree. And I think that was always a reminder. We did have some crazy things happen though, which Allison, who's here, she was on our team. She was our first AD on Yeti. And it's still one of my favorite stories, which is on Yeti. And I tell it in the real world all the time. So I'll just share the story. As the house that we were in, which plays in several different scenes, it was a friend of mine. He's in real estate. He's a really interesting dude, really great guy. And I said, hey, we're looking for this location. Can we use your place? Yeah, great. He's like, I'm going to be out, so it should be no problem. Well, you kind of keep them up to date. Hey, we're still here. It's, 11 o'clock at night. Oh, fine, I'm still out. Okay. But then, like, we were running way too long. I think it was like 2 a.m. And he shows up, and he has a girl with him. And he comes over to me, and he's like, hey, are you guys about to be out? And, like, it's pretty clear what's about to happen. And I go over to Allison. I'm like, we've got to get out of here. Like, and we were just reminiscing because I said, either he's just gonna, like, I don't care, you guys are here, this is gonna happen, or he's gonna get really mad. And so we went over to Matke and had this conversation. He was like, what? So we literally go out, and I mean, I'm not exaggerating. As soon as we closed that door, those shades closed, and it was interesting. And we're like packing up, and it was really uncomfortable. So that happened on that, and that was a great, it wasn't bad, but it was like, this is incredibly awkward. It was maybe the most awkward location story I've ever had in my life. Because like just the look on his face said it all. It's like, you guys got to get out of here. Anyway, so that was great. On that one, we had an interesting process with the story development. We had gotten Film to Femme, and we were really struggling with what to do there and how to navigate that story and what to do with it. And so we huddled into a room and we spent hours trying to figure out what the script should be and really come up with something that we felt was exciting and interesting and worked with the actors that we had and worked with the locations that we had. And that was always the challenge, is we had these pieces that we tried to sort of navigate through. And it was really challenging. Like as we wrote into the night, there were a lot of walls that we hit, and we finally started breaking through because we just got really ridiculous with it. And it's really great. I think, again, going back to the have fun, like building a core group that you really have great balance and you can really draw the best things out of each other. So Ryan, Mike, and myself, as we were going through that, we just started laughing as we came up with crazy things, and that became a catalyst for figuring out what did work. And so we were able to push through some of those writer's block moments, but it really was because we balanced each other well, and we could bounce ideas off of each other and find sort of those moments that worked and worked well and built off of the strengths that we had at our disposal. So so I think those were 2 interesting experiences along the way.
Awesome. Allison, how long have you been competing?
So last year was my first year, and so Sam and I have only been working together a little over a year. Yeah. And so we went into the experience thinking, okay, we just really want to have fun. If we win, great. But like for pretty much everything that we do, that we put out, it's like we just want to have fun. And if we think it's funny, then we're like, cool, to take the pressure off. So it was such an easy experience because, again, we worked together creating tunes for Afternoon Stew. So it just went really fast. And I think one of the easiest things was when we got Western, we tried to identify certain like tropes that are in Westerns and follow along that sort of structure. And and have those types of characters.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a really good tip for the audience is when you get your genre, just try and identify what those tropes are, because that can give you good ideas. You can either decide to go right along with all of those tropes and do something that is more traditional, or you can choose to defy them in an original way, which I think you guys did kind of a fun mashup of both.
Yeah.
A mashup.
You mashed
Mashed
up.
Mashed
Oh,
potatoes.
I'm taking credit for that, even though I didn't know I did it. That was intentional.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, and as far as, the biggest success, I mean, you get a movie at the end of the process, like Allison and I love Totstone so much, it's like my favorite thing I've ever done, and it, would not exist if not for this contest, because I don't think I would have just made a Western with tater tots out of the blue, like nothing would have pushed us to do that. And so, yeah, getting that and have fun and roll with the punches. I spent way too long animating that first scene where the little girl's throwing up the football. Like, I spent almost all day Saturday animating that one scene. And so that was probably if I made a mistake or, had a freak out moment, it was like, oh my gosh, I spent 7 hours animating this little girl. I have to have her throwing up the football and bouncing, she couldn't just be holding it. But so I freaked out a little bit because I was like, oh, I've spent too much time on this. But
did we argue?
Time management.
Did we have an argument? We did, didn't we?
No.
Did we?
Yeah.
Sam still brings this up.
We had
so
a joke argument.
What was it?
Because we were writing the script, and Allison's real particular about words, and I'm not really. I'm more and that's another just a good writing tip is you need the clown and you need the editor, the person who's just throwing stuff down and not thinking, and then the person who's going back and cleaning it up. And I think we kind of do that, even though we're both the clown sometimes. But anyways, Allison's real particular about words, and so the whole time I was typing and we're sitting there together, and the whole time we're doing it, she's like, take out that word, no, take that out. And then she had been doing that over and over, and I didn't mind, it was fine. But then we got to one part, and she's like, no, take out that second sentence. And I go, no, Allison, I'm leaving that second sentence in, And we laughed, and it was just a joke, but kind of broke up the monotony a little bit, So, but yeah.
You've competed before, though, correct?
Yes, this is, I've done it 2 times, and then this will be the 3rd time that's coming up, so. Yeah, we did a movie me and my friend Tim did a movie in 2017 called The Farmer's Ass, and it was a fable, which fable is not the best genre to draw. When we got that one, we were like, oh my gosh, how do you make a fable? What is we had to Google what a fable, half our time was spent deciding what the difference between a fable and a parable was, But anyways, it turned out well, and I like it a lot too. So, get to keep that one as well.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Rebecca?
Oh, okay. So 4 different ones, and realized in talking to you tonight that my first one was 10 years ago, 2009.
So crazy.
So I think what's funny about that one was actor's perspective. So I really didn't know a lot of people in the film community yet. I was just jumping into this film television thing, and the way we got gigs back then, or auditions, if you didn't have an agent, was looking on Craigslist. Who remembers Craigslist?
Not shady or creepy at all.
Right? So I saw one there for 48 looking for actors, and you have to go to somebody's house. Well, okay. That's not creepy or weird or anything, right? So you have to just say, okay, we can do this. But I made it through. I'm not in a chopped up body in a box in somebody's closet. The team was fun. We had a huge team. All brand new filmmakers and new actors. I don't think we were nominated for one single award. I don't think obviously then we didn't win anything, but it was a great experience. And I think that I've enjoyed working on all the teams. Like what David said, the camaraderie and the team that gets pulled together. Most of the time you do know people. So by the second 48 experience for me. I had gotten to know some people, so worked with people that I did know and respected very much. But I think it was When to End that probably gave me the most diverse experience, because Robin's and our scenes were separate, right? We're on the phone with each other. So we never acted together. We were literally on the phone with each other, which was really lovely. And that was something for the whole film, so that was something different for me. I enjoyed that very much. Although I love working with an actor really in a scene, but it was just a new challenge for me to do a whole piece where it was over the phone. So, yeah.
Never realized that. That makes perfect sense that that's how
Yeah.
you would do that.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I believe Robin's here.
He is here.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. Woo! Thank you. Anyway. I thought I saw you. Bill, tell us about your experiences.
So I don't really have any bad stories or anything like that, but I guess the first one I did that actually got me into composing was 10 years ago, and it was Beautiful As You Are. And I just remember I've been playing in bands and recording and that kind of thing for a long time, but I'd never composed anything for picture, really. And I remember we went to the set to go see what it was all about, and upstairs there was like a pile of 10 people asleep on each other, and then downstairs there was someone with a TV on their head and blood all over them, and I just thought it was so cool. And then we chatted with one of the shooters or producers, I can't really remember at this point, but we went back, a friend of mine and I actually ended up doing it together. We went back to the studio where we had been recording. We had like a David Lynch synthesizer and an old piano that hadn't been tuned in about 20 years, and so it sounded haunted, and we made the score with that. And I just remember we were on a really short deadline because I think we came in really late in the process, and so we were just trying to get the best that we could without really second-guessing ourselves too much to not slow down the process. But it ended up turning out really well, I thought, and it was a wonderful experience. I had a great time, and I decided that I wanted to start doing compositions for films and stuff after that. And so that was kind of the beginning of that, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And actually, on that note, why do you guys keep coming back to the 48? So, I mean, Allison, I'm hoping you're coming back for a second year since you last year was your first. But what is it that draws you back? I love that the 48 helped you, Bill, get into composing. But are there other things? Because, I mean, it's an insane weekend. It's a crazy thing to do to yourself, to essentially not sleep for 48 hours. So what got you hooked? What's...
The process of creating for me and collaborating. I love collaborating. I'm an improviser too, so like that's a big thing for me. But the whole process of like just doing it and then thinking back, that is a big part of it for me.
Yeah. I think also, so many filmmakers at every level, whether you're first time or you've been doing it for years, it's so hard. And some people dream their whole lives of making a film and they don't do it for a number of different reasons. And I think one of the beauties of the 48 is that it forces you to finish the movie. And so it forces you into a insanely, fast incubation process. And I think there's something healthy about that, because so many creatives either are perfectionists and never finish anything, or they don't have the vehicle for whatever reason to finish the thing that they've been dreaming of doing. And so I think there's something very powerful about that fact, and that allows people to bring other resources that they aren't able to. Because you can convince other people to be a part of a process that is very finite. Hey, you're going to have a 12-hour experience that is going to end, and out of it's going to be, and for someone doing post, it's this. You give us a day or give us 2 days, and so I think there's something about that is a very healthy incubation process as a creative, as a storyteller, is that you will come out, if you see it through, with a finished film that is cohesive, hopefully. And I think that in and of itself is a reason to do it. There's something about that is healthy for our own journey and whatever we're doing.
And having a finished film and where it can go from there. So first, I want to say that I'm so proud of the film community here in Nashville and the surrounding area. We have so much talent, so much, behind the camera, in front of the camera. So for me, I know that if I jump in there on a team, that I am going to be an amazing company in this competition. So I better bring my A game. And that, it just ignites me. And I think that most of the teams are like that too. We all know we're going to be up against each other, and that makes us work harder because we know the bar has been set at a certain level, and we want to meet that or surpass it. So you do have this finished product, which is amazing, right, in 48 hours. And then, should you win your city, then it goes on. And then it goes on. I mean, you can screen at Cannes. And Cannes Film Festival, let me tell you, is pretty amazing. I was there 2 years ago, and it's the pinnacle. So to be able to have that opportunity is really incredible here in Nashville, in this, this town.
And just to give props to the city of Nashville and the filmmakers here, Nashville is one of the oldest and largest cities that competes in the 48. Yeah. So it's really impressive that we've been going, I believe, and I really hope I'm not getting this wrong right now, but I think we've been competing for 17 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nice.
I should check myself because we're on TV. But, yeah, I do believe it's 17 years, and we are still one of the largest competing cities. So it's really says something to the talent that is here. And we do often, Nashville often goes on to screen at Cannes. I think out of the last 5 years, 4 times.
That's incredible.
It's
honestly,
very impressive.
It's a huge honor.
Well, on that note, though, about having a finished product, you do have something at the end of the 48 hours. Can you guys talk about what you've done with your films? Have you taken them and submitted them to other festivals? Have they found legs in other ways? Are you hoping to do something with films that you may have just created? Tell us a little bit about the afterlife of your films.
Yeah, I think that there's always, you'd be crazy not to take it and submit it to other festivals if it's something that you feel is worthy of it. I think also, and again, I think people have different purposes for how they make whatever they're doing. What was exciting for us is that the first team that I participated with, that film became a catalyst for a lot of things that we ended up putting together in our feature film. There was some story elements. The lead actor of that film ended up being the lead actor for the feature film because the bonds were tied. And I think there's a lot of things that there should be a purpose in mind. I think there's something that you should see a life after it, even if that is festivals. I mean, and I say that festivals are an amazing way to exhibit films and get it out in front of audiences and hopefully celebrate the accomplishment. But I think there's also other ways that you can use it, whether it's a portfolio piece that allows you to get other work, whether it's a proof of concept that you can develop into a bigger piece, whether it's something that you can leverage to raise money. I mean, whatever it is, I think that there should be a life after it, or at least you should see the potential of a life after the 48 is done.
For me as an actor, Win to End, none of the films that I was in went beyond the 48, except for Win to End, just screened at Nashville Film Festival. So that's always a nice honor to screen there. Yeah. So as an actor, what I do, and certainly what I've done with Win to End, is to put that on my reel. And so it has a little life in my reel. And from that, I've actually had casting directors mention it to me, which is, so if any of you actors out there, and you're trying to build up your reel, hop onto a 48 team, and it's a nice way to collect some footage and a way to market yourself.
I'll jump in if that's okay. Yeah, we definitely took Totstone and submitted it around. I think that I believe we've been in 3 festivals with Totstone since last year, and Totstone's from last year's 48. I don't know if we said that, but it was recently featured in the Florida Animation Festival, and the person who was organizing that event, they emailed me and they're like, "Congratulations, you got in. We really love your movie. We really love your movie." And I was like, "Oh, they'd probably say that to everybody, And then she wrote me a separate email that's like, "Really looking forward to screening Totstone. We love it." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, And then they tagged us in an Instagram post where they're like, "We love this movie," And I'm like, "Whoa, those Florida folks, love Totstone." so that feels good because we love Tottstone, like I said, and so, like I think we actually submitted to the Phoenix Film Festival, Phoenix, Arizona, and we did not get in. And I was like, Phoenix is cut off, Phoenix is dead to me. Yeah, exactly.
If you're watching, he's just kidding.
Yeah.
Phoenix.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phoenix.
Just kidding. We love you.
Phoenix, Missouri. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it feels. I mean, and also Third Coast Comedy Club here in town has a quarterly film night, local film night, and I think there's some other film nights around. But Third Coast played Tottstone right after we made it, and that feels good, to do a local film night. So, yeah, it's I'm always down to watch Tottstone get played. So it's fun.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Definitely. Well, I would love to open this up to the audience. If you guys have any questions, I can ask questions all day long. But does anybody have anything that they'd like to jump in with at this moment? We have a very shy audience. Oh, yeah, you have to go to the microphone. Again.
The first question was, out of any project you've worked on, whether 48 or another film, what is one thing that you think you could have improved on?
I think I won't necessarily say I feel like we could have improved on this. I think it was okay, but I will just say, like, sound is very, very important. Make sure you have good sound. And then, and maybe I have an advantage here with the cartoons, but, we work a lot on our timing and editing. We want to make sure things are punchy and the shot doesn't linger too long. So just like really making sure those two things are in check. And I say the sound thing in particular because I was just thinking with Tottstone when it screened, I noticed some of the background noises were louder than I wish they would have been. I really wish I could have gone back in and turned them down, the background mixes. But yeah, that would be my tip for things to make sure, to do well, and you can always do better. So, anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, anybody else want to?
I think that, full disclosure, we missed beating Everyday Yeti by like a point. So if only we had include fun graphics. Oh, I'm sorry, half a point. So if we had include fun graphics, maybe. No, their film was just, I love Everyday.
Yeah.
It's such a great question, and I think, hindsight is always 20/20. So I think as an actor in the moment, I just have to really and truly believe in what I am doing, and hopefully that comes across that way, and if I'm not, shame on me, but that's what Take 2, 3, or 4 is about. But so yeah, I think that's the best way I could answer your question.
I think something that's good to have, and especially in the 48, is have a good script supervisor, someone that can help. I feel like some of my worst regrets on lots of things are like, oh my God, like how did we not fix that or see that? And especially on the 48, you can be moving so quickly. You can be going through just a, head down, tunnel vision, just get the shot, we got to get moving. And man, you can just have the regret throughout the whole thing if you are not helping set yourself up and your team up for success to mitigate some of those things that could be missed, and they're so easy to fix. I think that would be something that I have regretted in the past. And if you can just prioritize that, I think you'll be happy in the end.
Bill, you want to jump in?
I guess from a composing standpoint, I always found that kind of hopping, because I usually, being kind of involved post or, later on, I don't always have an opportunity to go on set or meet with the director. A lot of times I'll just get a phone call or an email asking if I can do it, and then here are the scenes, do the music. But I've often found that the stuff I've done that has been more successful, or at least that I've been happier with, I've been able to go to the set and kind of get a read on the vibe of what's going on and have a conversation with the director or whoever's in charge, to kind of feel what they're looking for and have a longer conversation than just a real quick text message or over the phone. And that has always worked out better for me.
Well, and I think you're hitting on something really important that everybody's touched on. It's communication in the 48. I mean, you've got to have the time to sit down with the director as an actor and talk through things, because you are just blindly being given something and saying, hey, you have 20 minutes, and then get ready, you're about to be on camera. If somebody just sends you scenes and they're like, I kind of want it to sound like this, well, you've got to acknowledge that film is a very collaborative process. And even though you are on these really tight time constraints, you've got to make sure you're communicating well. So,
yeah.
But let's hop over to the other question about you're up there. Man, you're so prepared. I love this. I'll let you ask again.
And second question was for Totstone team. So I'm working on an animation of my own, and so when you're working on an animation, what's the first thing you think you should really prioritize when starting that?
So, first things first, sweet corn T-shirt.
Yeah.
By the way,
Feeling
for
like
those of you at home watching.
Feeling like a freak on a leash over here.
Yeah. I think it being something that you're into, like what kind of stuff are you into? What kind of stuff do you really like? I think that's really important, stuff that you know a lot about in terms of characters that you want to come up with.
Mm-hmm. And are you doing a project outside the 48, or thinking about doing the 48 with an animation?
Yeah, I'm working on a few other stuff. So.
Okay. Yeah. The thing that's popping in my head is just that animation, as you probably know, is just a very, very time consuming, and so I would prioritize, the script writing first of all, and make sure you got a really solid script, and like Allison said, make sure you love the idea and love the characters before you jump into the animating, because it would really stink to spend all this time animating and then going, I really don't like that character, and I really don't like the story, and I really don't, make sure you have all that stuff right first, or as right as it can be, and then jump into the animating. That would be that's kind of how we work. We actually, Allison is a very talented improviser, and so a lot of people have asked, or I say a lot, 3 people have asked us in the past if our cartoons are improvised, and I'm always like, no, they're not improvised. Like, we want to make sure that it's funny before we start animating, or even recording the audio. We'll generally record the audio, and then animate. And I'm just like, no, we wouldn't jump right into the audio part before we know the writing's not pretty solid. So, and there's room for improvisation in there, but
yeah.
We have fun sometimes. But yeah, that's what I would say.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Any other questions from the audience?
I have a question, but real fast. It's cool that you worked with Spencer Fritz, because me and my band of hooligans over here are his governor school kids from this year. Yeah.
Which one did you do?
Filmmaking.
No. I mean, of the movies, because I actually gave him a bunch of music.
Oh, awesome.
For the governor's school. Kids
Me and Justice, who's the one in the red shirt, we were part of the Hair, the one with the blonde wig, and he's fighting a bunch of guys. And
okay, I don't know if I saw that. Okay.
Well,
cool.
yeah, we were each part of different groups.
Very cool.
But my question is, what advice would you give to people like us, a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds who are doing the 48 for the first time this year? What's what do you start with, essentially? Like, what's the process? What advice would you give?
Assemble a good team
Mm-hmm.
of people that you enjoy spending time with and don't mind being in really close quarters with them. Like people you really like, and then some good writers. They're free thinking. That because you're going to be given a genre, you're going to be given a line, a character, a prop. And so it's really about, I think, first and foremost, assembling your team before you even go to that Friday night of getting all that information. And have a posse of actors. You might not use all of them, and just inform them of that. And I mean, that happens all the time, because when you do get your genre and so forth, maybe you won't be able to use a couple of people that you thought you would. And that's totally cool with the actors in the city. Most of them understand that. So I think that's my input on what to do.
Yeah, I would piggyback on that and say, I mean, even though you don't have a script, you want to have all your pieces in place. I mean, obviously there's going to be curveballs and things that you're going to need to adjust and pivot on based on the specifics that are handed to you. But, the beauty of it is in the pre-pro, and you better go in having your locations and your talent and your however you're going to get your equipment and again, not to say that you're going in and develop like here's everything that we're going to do, but you got to have all your ammo, and that's the fun part, honestly. Like that's the madness of the 48. It should start weeks in advance of trying to figure out exactly who, to Rebecca's point, like assembling those comrades of who you're going to make it with, and talking through like how we're going to do it. You know, what's the vibe that we want for this thing? What do we want what do we want to focus on from a objective standpoint? You know, do we want something that's going to be as many locations as we can get into something? Do we want something that's going to be real dialogue focused? Do we want something, and then you've got to, you know, try to, once you get your elements, you have to try and make those things work. So you obviously don't want to be so pigeonholed in the preparation that you're like, oh my God, like we totally prepared for this and we got that and now we're screwed. So it has to be open-ended enough, but I think that's the people that do well, I think, are those who go in with their strengths. And they go in with the elements that allow them to be set up for success instead of the, oh my gosh, how are we going to, like, we're not ready. We need another day. I think there is that you get as many pieces that it's like a painter. You get all your paints ready. So that once you get your thing, you're ready to just rock.
And actually, just really quickly to speak to the ammo comment, which I love. This place that we're sitting in right now, NECAT, I don't believe it's booked for the weekend of the 48. So if you are interested in utilizing something like this, you should definitely talk to Cameron, because this is a space that you could potentially book. Just to give a call out to the location here. Or if you haven't been through the training classes, talk to Cameron, because he could probably hook you up with somebody who has, and then you can get access to it. So that's just a little quick pitch for NECAT. Anyway.
There's a green screen here.
I know. There are so many options. That's all I'm saying is somebody snatch this place up.
And I would say too, for the writers of your film, the ability to just continuously say yes to each other's ideas and not to overthink it. I think what was really helpful for me is we had the expectation going into it that like we're just gonna have fun. Like if we win, great. I think I said that earlier, but like it was like we really just want to have a good time and have something cool at the end of it. So, you know, the ability to just say, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do that. And then if it doesn't work, you can edit it out or whatever. And then, you know, also the ability to say, you know what, we have to move forward. So, you know, and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's...
Sam, you look
Sam
like you had
approves.
something really important to say. No? Good?
Yeah.
Just thumbs
No,
up?
I agree with what Allison said.
Awesome. Any other questions from the audience?
So this is going to be my first 48-hour film festival, and when you all did when you all did your first one, what did you find was your biggest learning curve or something that caught you off guard when you did this for the first time?
Seeing everybody, all the people in Nashville that were going to make films. I grew up in Nashville, so I don't remember there being such a big community, and I've lived in Los Angeles, so I was just really amazed and really impressed at the amount of people that showed up that first night to get their thing. I was like, oh, I don't think I can say cuss words, but I was like, yes.
Holy cow.
Holy cow. I can't think of another way to express myself.
Well said.
And I'll throw out there, honestly, you know, if you read the rules ahead of time and read how it goes ahead of time, I didn't really run into anything my first time where I was like, whoa, wish I would have known about this. You know, like it all went, it's a lot of work and you're going to stay up for almost 2 days making your movie. But, you know, as long as you read up on where you're supposed to be at the drop-off time and the kickoff event, it went pretty smooth for me. So no big curveballs there.
What capacity will you be playing in the 48?
Back again. I will be an actor. I would also like to, be part of props and set design and everything, and anything else where else they may need me.
Okay, good. All right. Well, as an actor, I think you're going to be on all of Saturday. So be ready to be going that whole day. So get a good night's sleep that Friday before, because like I said, the script will be sent to you at 5 or 6 in the morning, and you will most likely start filming at 8. So be ready for that. Have a lot of rest so that you can do whatever the script is going to call of you. And I would also suggest bringing wardrobe options, because you want to be able to work well with the set you're on, and also with your fellow scene partners, and everything should work, so it's pleasing, right, or not, whatever is called for. So yeah, I think that that's something that maybe I didn't know the first 48 that I did 10 years ago. But definitely learned that by the time I did my last one. And it just it'll take the pressure off of you, like just being as prepared as you can as an actor, knowing that you're going to come to the set ready to work and be able to flow, because you might have lines that will change, and just so that, so if rested is really key.
That's great.
Anybody else? Awesome.
I'll throw out there too, as far as, from my understanding, competing in it the last 2 years, there is pretty much zero flexibility after the cutoff time. So you can't turn it in late. They won't take it, or they'll take it, but you're disqualified from winning anything. So
Not anything. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
the main competition and several awards. Yes, you are disqualified from, but we will absolutely take it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not mean. We don't close the
Yeah,
door.
but even if I remember you saying last year, like if it's 7:01 or whatever,
Yes.
you're
7:31 and it is late, and it
Yeah.
was one of the hardest things I had to
Yeah.
do last year. Is there were a couple of people that showed up, I'm telling you, like 2 or 3 minutes late, and to just look someone in the face
some
and be
good
like,
stuff too.
yeah, amazing,
really good
amazing
stuff.
films,
Yeah.
and it's a matter of minutes. And it's just, I hope that those people took those films and are doing incredible things with them, because they are really great, and it hurts to be in this position now, because I competed for a long time. It hurts to be in this position and to have to look at someone and say, I know you just gave away an entire weekend of your life, but you're not eligible.
Yeah. Yeah, so make sure you get it turned in on time.
Awesome. Yeah.
Maybe say, if you have the opportunity to, as far as audio is concerned, if you can, just because of the rush that you're in and possibly the improvisational nature of the performances, I would try to get lavaliers on your cast, because I've seen 48 hours where lines of dialogue are just missing or don't match up, and it takes you out of the film. So if you can, I know it's not the easiest thing in the world, but you could always go down to True Audio. Those guys are amazing. They might even be able to cut you a deal, and get your actors lobbed up, and that way you can just move through it, and you're not going to waste time trying to figure out where to put the boom and this and that kind of thing, and it might just help your process along.
For sure.
That's great. Do you also have any tips maybe for the post-sound process? Anything that you think?
Yeah, keep your set as quiet as you can, so that your post process will be shorter. Because if you have a bunch of noises going on, or one's real buzzy and one's not, that's going to take time to have to solve that issue. So if you keep everything as quiet as you can, gain stage whatever you're using for dialogue, hopefully the editor or sound mixer, whoever you end up using, will have a much easier time cutting those different shots together, because the audio isn't going to be so jarringly different from one shot to the next. That's what I'd say.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And don't overdrive your stuff. That's it.
Awesome. Any other questions from the audience?
David, I know you said script supervisor. What would be one of the easiest positions that people might forget about that ends up being really important for crew?
I think script supervisor, script supervisor is a huge one, right? Because I think you're moving so fast. And it also depending on the type of film it is, but that's such an easy thing to protect and set your post team up for success. Unless you're depending on what your team is like, there definitely is a very methodical process of the schedule that I think allows the film to get done and get done well. And so whether that means you've got a producer who's managing that, or you've got an AD that is executing that, or you've got a director who can do all of it. There's definitely there's a line in the sand, like, we've got to be done by this time, and we've got to move into this next step, whether that's going from writing to shooting or shooting to post. And I think having someone on the team that can really manage that process and make sure that that communication is being done efficiently and effectively between all the different groups, because it's like anything, there are the people that are involved at each stage of the game, and that can oversee the execution of that in the sort of the time management that it requires to deliver. Say those are really, really big things that will either make or break the process. You don't need a good DP, I'll just say that. Or good equipment. Just don't worry about those things.
No, those aren't important. Does anybody else have any other role they'd like to give a shout out to? Or
I feel like they're all important.
Yeah.
I can't really.
It's hard, yeah.
There's not one that isn't. I think going into it, just knowing that each one is so critically important to the final product, that will allow you not to take it for granted.
Yeah, and if I could just say something about that, I think that it's so important to play, again, like I said earlier, to the strengths, right? Like, you guys are such a great example of a film that was able to be done really well with 2 people total. That isn't the case. That doesn't translate over maybe to a different kind of film that you're trying to make. And so I think it's really important to, if you only have 3 people that can be on it, like, make a film that you can make really well with 3 people. You know, if you've got 50 people, then make a great film that you can make with 50 people. And so I think play to the resources that are at your disposal. If these guys said, well, we're going to go make Avatar, you know, a 2-minute Avatar, then that probably would have been a mistake. But setting up the process to what you can deliver at that high level, I think, is key.
That's a good point. You know, like When to End, we did have a crew, but we decided to keep it really minimal, and we just had 2 locations. And that makes things super easy, that you're not running around from place to place on Saturday while you're filming or running into Sunday. So, I think that David is so right on with playing to your strengths and to the numbers, and not being afraid to just play it to 1 or 2 locations.
Thank you guys so much. Any other questions from the audience? Yeah.
Hey there. I go back to 17 years ago, was the first 48 that I did. In fact, a local casting director had casted our film, Kim Petrosky. And, you know, there was a big, what do you call it, of actors, and only a few got to work. But guess what? Now I'm going to co-produce, and I'm scared to death. But the thing that really excites me is that the 48 is involved with Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA. And so I happen to be one of those actors. And I think that a lot of times our filmmakers don't realize that we can do this for no pay. And it's awesome, because we love to, like what Rebecca said, you know, we like to get stuff for our reels. So, but I'm dipping my toes into co-producing, and I'm shaking as I'm standing here. So thanks. Any words of wisdom for this person who's been in front of the camera her whole life that's going behind? So it ought to be, woo.
I mean, like, have fun with it. And that's awesome. I mean, what an awesome full circle. And I think everything that's been kind of said here, I would just re-echo, is, you know, prepare with the right people, find that core group that you want to work with, and make sure you feel good about sort of how you've plugged the holes, and have fun doing it, you know. And that's really, once you've got all those pieces in place, then the production should be fun, and obviously hard work and focus, but the pre-pro is everything, because that's where you're getting all those elements in place that you're going to utilize in the production. And from a producer standpoint, that's kind of the most exciting part, is, you know, dreaming of, like, what if we put these people in here? What if we brought these elements that we could play with in that moment that happens in the 48 just process? I think prepare and then have fun once it happens.
I just co-produced for my first time for a project that I co-created and acted in it as well. And it was really eye-opening to know all of the pre-pro that does go on instead of just getting your script and showing up to the set. So it's so enlightening and just another wonderful way to embrace film and creation of film. And I highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in it. You'll just learn so much more and appreciate it so much more. And you'll be great at it, Carla Christina. No doubt about that.
Yeah, you got this. You got this.
Yes. Awesome. Well, you guys, we have time for one more question. Anybody?
This question is for Rebecca. For your performance in your film, it was amazing. How much of that came from your actor's toolbox, and how much of it, like as a director, how much in such a short amount of time for directors to be able to say, okay, I need you to cry, or I need you to be like really, really emotional. Just really high level, how much can a director really say to help motivate other actors get to that place?
Oh, that's such a good question. Thank you. I can't tell you how much I enjoy working with a director that wants to work with actors. It's just such a fun collaboration. It really means everything to me when I'm on a set working with a director like that. And for this role, it was a beautiful script, first of all, and I really felt like I could dig deep into it. And then I had a lovely scene partner. Although I wasn't working with him, I could hear him. And that made it come alive. And I really, really had to like put myself into her shoes and what it's like to. I used to be in a long-term marriage, and been divorced now for 6 years. And so I guess maybe I could relate to her, what it's like to have your marriage start to fizzle and you're losing it, and then to hear that your husband is possibly falling in love with another woman, that is just a lot to process. And I just put myself into that character, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about what that feels like to have heard, my husband is telling me he thinks of somebody else, he's in love with me. Ouch, that hurts. And so that's what I did. I brought some of my own life to that character, and really was grateful for what Robin was giving me, and what the writers had given me, and just kind of all came together.
All right, you guys. Well, can we please have another round of applause for our amazing panelists? Thank you so much. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in learning more about the 48 Hour Film Project, visit 48hourfilm.com/Nashville.